The season's just about over. The playoffs are here, which means it's time to finalize our 2026 Dynasty rankings. So that way we can start evaluating the rookies and get those guys positioned in their proper tiers, what I think their value will be as we start looking towards that NFL draft. So it's big time here at the Face Off Sports Network. Lots of Dynasty content, lots of rookie content on the way. Be sure to check out the links in the description for the Patreon to get complete access to my rankings and everyone else's rankings here at the Face Off Sports Network. Not to mention the Discord link is in there. It's free. Go join it. You might as well. Tons of content in there. We've got a new Dynasty Discord channel in there too. So check it out, and we'll catch you there inside the Discord on the Face Off Sports Network. And let's get straight to some running back rankings. So what I've done is I've kind of lumped some of these tiers together just to make it easy to talk about. So let's get started with the A tier, and let's get to the big names to kick off my first 7 running backs here. Not many surprises. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Ashton, Jeanty, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor, and Travion Henderson. Those are my top 7 running backs. And let's just start with what I think the first tier is. I think it's 1 through 4. I think it's Jahmyr, Bijan, Ashton, Jeanty, and Devon Achane are going to be this top tier. Now, can we see one of the rookies get up here? I don't think so. I think these guys are kind of by themselves right now. But for now, let's think about, Jahmyr Gibbs, another solid season for him where he just continues to be dominant, both through catching the ball and on the ground. I mean, this Lions team, while they were a disappointment this season, Jahmyr Gibbs was the running back 3. Last year was the RB1. The year before that, RB10. So we have nothing but absolute production from him so far in his career. His usage was just about the same. I mean, just unbelievable usage through the air, though. Got a big uptick there with 77 catches on the year, 94 targets, 616 yards, absolute monster year for him. That's going to continue to be the case. David Montgomery was phased out a little bit more, but at the same time, this team has to rely on Jahmyr Gibbs. He's clearly the better option. He's the Dynasty RB1 to me. I mean, you could talk about throwing Bijan up there because Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs are the exact same age. I mean, Gibbs is just slightly younger by a month or two, but Bijan is another guy that's had a fantastic year. RB2 last year, he was RB3, RB9 before that, so he continues to be really, really consistent. And both the keys to these guys, if they've been healthy their entire career thus far, that's huge. I mean, oftentimes with the running back position, we see one of them fall off due to some injury, but that has not happened for those guys, so I hope that goes forward. Running back 3 for me is going to be Ashton, Jeanty. The running back for the Las Vegas Raiders, not necessarily the best year for him. I mean, it went a lot like we kind of expected at the beginning of the year. Here with the Mediators and the Face Off Sports Network, we talked a lot about how he was being overdrafted in the redraft world, and we kind of projected him to finish as the RB10 to RB12, and guess what? He finishes the RB11. So right on par with what we kind of thought. I mean, this Raiders team was absolutely terrible. They have tons of holes to fill. We'll see if they end up drafting Mendoza out of Indiana. Maybe it's Dante Moore. Lots to see. But either way, this offensive line up front has to clear up for Jeanty. He had his 1,000 yards almost on the ground, 975. A ton of those came, after contact too. That's a huge issue with him, as he was getting hit in the backfield almost every single play. I think the upside is there. He's going to have better days ahead, but for right now, I think he's a guy that we just need to hold on, give him some time. He's only 22 years old, so we've got lots of time for him to really hit the ground running over the next couple years. In closing out this first tier for me, Devon Achane, I mean, what more do you say than a guy who's just been absolutely fed through every facet? I mean, they checked it down to him a million times. We'll see what happens with Mike McDaniel out. Maybe Tua's on his way out, but Devon Achane, absolute stud year for him. I mean, if you go pull up his box score, it's absolutely incredible. Every single game was double-digit fantasy points. He did not have a single outing where he finished with less than 10 points in a PPR league. Absolutely monstrous. I mean, 85 targets on the season, 67 catches, continues to be super, super explosive. Great, bright future ahead of him. They really closed out the year better. I think they're going to be one of those teams that could go either way. New GM, new coach, we'll see what happens. But Devon Achane, clearly a big-time player to go forward. But looking at my tier 2, that's going to be this next set of guys here. I've got Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor, and Travion Henderson. Now, I won't lie, Jonathan Taylor had another great year, kind of held off a little bit there at the end. Lots of injuries to that Colts team. A lot of people are going to fight me on this one and have Jonathan Taylor higher, and I get it. I've been a Bucky Irving fan day one, like day one. So I have a hard time moving him. He's someone that I think can continue to get better. I mean, he's younger than Gibbs. He's younger than Bijan. He just turned 23. Very, very bright future, in my opinion, for Bucky Irving. We'll see what happens with Rachaad White. Maybe he's on his way out. New offensive coordinator coming in. Bucky just clearly, to me, looks like the absolute best playmaker in that backfield, continues to get things done. And in my opinion, I think absent the injury, he could have had another monster season this year. I mean, we look at what he did. RB34 only appeared in just 10 games, and he's splitting carries, throughout that entire time frame. Got 588 yards, only 1 touchdown. I see that coming back up. 3 touchdowns through the air. So I think better days are ahead of Bucky Irving. He just got derailed by that injury. And he started off the season with a 14-point game, 18-point game, 19-point game, and a 25-point game. So I think he's going to continue to be an absolute monster as we move forward. But Jonathan Taylor, as we just mentioned, the guy here at 6 for me, another fantastic year for him. Finishes the RB4, started out really, really hot. They slowed down towards the end. Again, derailed by injuries. Losing Daniel Jones really, really hurt this team. Started Phillip Rivers. They started loading the box, and you knew what was coming. Regardless, he still performed. I mean, fantastic year. Almost 1,600 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. Absolutely monstrous. Not necessarily insanely used in the passing game. Had some lull periods with that where he only got a couple targets like towards the middle of the year. But really close out the year, a lot better in that regard. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to continue to be a guy that's going to, be a solid fantasy player. But when we look at his age, he's 27. It's time for us to start considering when will the fall off be. I'm not saying it's going to be next year, and I'm not saying it's going to be the year after that. But we know Father Time is going to win every single time. So when these running backs hit 27-ish, 28, that's when you got to start trying to find a way to get off the ride. So if I could take a guy like Jonathan Taylor and move off of him to go get a Bucky Irving, I'd absolutely do it. I mean, you're saving almost 4 years in age right there. So he's a guy that I'm holding. If I'm on a competing team, just ride it out. Use him next year. He'll be great. If I'm on a rebuilding team, I'd absolutely find a way to move Jonathan Taylor after this monster season. Go get one of these young guys, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, and maybe Travion Henderson, the next name here on my list. Those are the guys I would target. I mean, Travion, he had the late start. I mean, I think a lot of us thought that he could be a big play monster for this Patriots team. He just wasn't getting the opportunity. I mean, he had week 7 and week 8, he only had 14 and 21% of the snaps, and it was like that all through the first 8 weeks. Ramondre got hurt, and then he came onto the scene and absolutely exploded. I mean, we saw a 28-point game, a 32-point game, another 30-point game. Monster season for Travion Henderson, finishing as the RB21, given the fact that he was barely being used to start the season. Pretty impressive. I mean, he amassed almost 1,000 yards, had 9 touchdowns, averaged over 5 yards a carry. He's got everything you want to see. This Patriots team is looking fantastic, man. I mean, Drake May looks like he could be a big-time player, could be the MVP this year. We'll have to see. But he's going to be a tricky person to go out and buy. I absolutely would have Travion Henderson as a buy, but I don't think anyone's really going to be selling. He just showed too much promise, too much opportunity going forward, so I expect that to kind of remain the same. Let's get to my second grouping here. It's my tiers 3 through 5. Again, just kind of grouping these guys. I've got the B, C, and D tier here. I've got Amarian Hampton, James Cook, Quinshon Judkins, Saquon Barkley, and Josh Jacobs. Starting off with Amarian Hampton, again, another guy. Rookie comes into the scene, kind of shows some promise, gets hurt early on, got caught up in a little bit of injury at the end of the season too, so tough to see there, but at the same time showing an absolute ton of promise. 24-point game, 27-point game, a 20-point game in week 17. I think Hampton's going to be just fine going forward. I know a lot of people are hot and cold on him. He wasn't my favorite prospect, but I think he's going to fit in good with this Chargers team. I mean, we saw what they did with losing both all-pro left and right tackles. They're going to come back. That's going to really bolster this team, and they're going to continue to get better. John Harbaugh runs the ball. We know Jim Harbaugh runs the ball, and we know he's going to want to establish that team up front and really just start moving it again up front and trying to get Hampton involved a little bit more. I mean, we saw several weeks where he had, 12 carries, 8 carries. I think that's got to change. I mean, he's clearly the best one in that backfield. So for me, he's a person I'd hold on if I could, afford or wanted to go shop for a new running back or a big name running back. I might make a play on him, but I'd probably look at some of these other names just because I think Hampton's going to be harder to buy. He's a lot like Travion Henderson, where you're not going to find someone to sell him to you unless you overpay. But my next running back here, James Cook, what more do you say? I mean, another monster year for him. He continues to produce big touchdown numbers, 12 on the season, following up last year's 16. Finishes RB6, scoring over 300 fantasy points, had over 1,600 rushing yards. I mean, just really, really consistent throughout the season. Started off the season with 4 straight games of 20 points or more. Had a couple 30 bombs in there too. So Cook is just a steady player. The one thing you have to consider is the fact that, like Jonathan Taylor, he is going to be turning 27. So at some point, you have to start deciding, when do you get off the ride? Again, my advice would be hold him on a winning team. If you're a rebuilding, retooling team, I'd probably take him, shop him, and go get one of these younger guys. Because if you could turn James Cook into, say, a Omarion Hampton and something, I would try that. Or even if you have to pay just a small price, I'd be okay with that too. So just see what you can do. Check out the managers in your league. Quinshon Judkins, another running back that came onto the scene. Big problem here with the Cleveland Browns is just the fact that they are absolutely terrible. I mean, they have a ton of draft picks, so we'll see what they'll do. Lots of free agents. I think their entire starting offensive line is free agents. So new faces will more than likely be coming into this team. Judkins showed a lot of promise, made some big plays, had the volume, just didn't do much, especially at the end of the season. Really, really hurt you. Had 3 weeks of less than 10 points. But the beginning of the season, he kind of really came on. I mean, obviously, we all know that he started off the year not really practicing. There was all the issues off the field. Once he finally came into the building there, immediately got the opportunities. I mean, amount of games he had over 20 carries. He had 6 games with over 20 carries. You love to see that. Not a lot of running backs are going to get that kind of bell cow opportunity. So Judkins shows a lot of promise moving on. Ended the year on injury reserve, but don't place too much on that. He should be fine coming into the season this upcoming year. So I like Judkins. He's a guy that I would be buying if I can, especially given the fact that the injury, maybe there's a dip there. Maybe there's an opportunity to go get him. Check in your league, see what you can do there. Carrying on to Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, I'm just going to take both of these guys together. Kind of falls with what I was talking about before, moving off of these older guys. I mean, they had, Jacobs scored 17 points a game almost, Barkley 15. Barkley really regressed from last season. Lots of issues with that Philly offense, whether it can continue to produce. Maybe it's going to kind of take a step back next season. We'll see what happens there. I think that Josh Jacobs and Saquon are both really good players in a win now, super competing team. Like if you just had the 111 or the 112 and you're trying to run it back and you want to go get one of those guys, I'm not really going to fault you too much. But I don't think I would really want to pay a first for him, to be honest. I mean, it could fall off at any moment. I mean, Saquon is 29, so next year it's you never know. Josh Jacobs is going to be 28. Again, I try to avoid those situations. I'd rather buy mid-season where you can send that second-round pick and get them when you know you're just competing. You want an extra piece kind of to separate yourself from the group. I'm fine with doing that. Sometimes you got to pay that price right now. I just don't necessarily love doing that, so be careful if you do have to make that decision and keep that in mind. Looking at my next grouping here, I've got tier 6 and 7 lumped together. I've got Kyren Williams, Travis Etienne, Cam Scatterbo, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, and RJ Harvey. Another fun tier here, in my opinion. I mean, we've got Kyren Williams as steady as they come, continues to be a big-time touchdown guy. Early in the year, he was heavily involved in the passing game, really slowed off from weeks 11 to 15, where basically every game he only got like one target. So really regressed there, only 36 catches on the year, which kind of is on par with what he's done in the past. The beginning of the year, it looked like he could finish the season with like 40 or 50 catches. Just didn't happen. But Again, he's the touchdown guy at the goal line, 1,300 yards almost on the ground, added 10 rushing touchdowns. So solid player there. He's 25 years old in a really good offense. Question I have is what's going to happen with Matthew Stafford? If he's gone, big question mark at what they do at quarterback. If he stays, runs it back another year, Kyron's going to be just fine. Looking ahead to Travis Etienne, a fantastic season for Travis Etienne, man. I mean, that offensive line, can't say enough about him. I talked about it in the quarterback video with Trevor Lawrence. I'll talk about it here. Absolutely monstrous up front. They looked like one of the best units. Big time surprise. Travis Etienne ended up finishing as the running back 10 overall. And that's a guy who basically was still splitting snaps. I mean, only about 60%, 66% of the snaps most of the time. And I get it. That's a lot of opportunity, but he was still getting spelled out. Over 1,000 yards on the ground, over 1,100. In fact, 7 touchdowns on the ground, 6 touchdowns through the air. Continue to get it done in a high-powered Jacksonville Jaguar offense. I really, really like what they did. I look for Liam Cohen to continue to get him involved, but I do think that Bashal Tutin earned himself a role. That's something that we have to consider. That's something we have to watch for going forward. We know what Liam Cohen did in Tampa Bay, where he ran with 2 running backs, both Rashad and Bucky Irving. I think that's going to happen in this case too. I mean, we've already seen it. Bashal Tutin looked good. We have to say that. But carrying on here to Cam Scadabo, the rookie, unfortunately derailed by a really, really tough injury. So I hated seeing that. I mean, he started off the season really high, finishes the RB 37 on the season, and that was only playing 8 games. So kind of crazy. Had a 24-point game in there, a 31-point game in there, double digits every single game except for week 1. I think Cam is going to be just fine going forward. I know a lot of people are kind of high on him. Some people are not necessarily high on him. I would be buying if I can. Go check the price. We know the injuries out there. Lots of hype around this Giants offense and what this Giants team could do. So you might have to deal with that. So just beware. Breece Hall is the next running back for me. He's my running back 16. I love Breece Hall, man. I think he's a do-it-all back. He's got all sorts of opportunity. His only problem is he plays for the New York Jets. As we all know, the Jets are absolutely terrible. So there's lots of question marks there. We'll see what happens at the quarterback position. They're more likely than not going to draft one. Who's going to be? I don't know. Ty Simpson, Moore, Mendoza, one of those guys. The next thing is that Breece Hall is a free agent. So if he does not come back to the Jets, which I don't think he will, there's a good chance that I think he lands on a good team. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are a sneaky option. Washington is a sneaky option. Lots of teams out there need a big-time running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield, which he's one of the best of in the entire NFL, or just a stable guy to just be the back, be the bell cow. He can do that. We know he can. So I like Breece Hall. I think he's going to be a name that is heavily sought after in free agency. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's the RB2 in 2023 in fantasy, RB16 last year, RB19 this year. Just again, not a great season for this Jets team. Still got over 1,000 yards. He's going to be fine wherever he goes. So I would go out and check the price on him. He's someone I'm absolutely interested in. I mean, only 24 years old right now. So check the price on the Breece manager. I'd be willing to move a late first to go get him, especially if I'm a running back needy team. We talked about it last year, how these running backs that are good, that get the good draft spots, typically get pushed up to the early first round. You don't want to be the guy that's having to bank on the Bashal Tutin Cam Scadabo pick at the 204 to 206. I get Cam Scadabo hit this past year. Bashal Tutin probably outproduced his cost, probably going to be a guy that could be useful in the future. But at the same time, I would rather pay a late first if I need a running back and go get a guy like Breece Hall that I think could change my roster. So go look with that manager if you can. I think he's a sneaky ad right now while people aren't thinking about the new landing spot. And let's get to our last 2 guys in this tier. We've got Javonte Williams. Javonte, fantastic season for him. I mean, you can't emphasize enough what he did coming in on that basically for free contract that Dallas got him on. Finished the season as the RB12. Monster season, over 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. We'll see if he ends up running it back. He's going to be a priority sign for the Cowboys, I would imagine. But I also could see the market heating up for him. Like, again, the teams we've mentioned, the Chiefs, maybe the Jets, maybe if they lose Breece Hall, also have Washington out there. Lots of teams are going to need a running back, and Javonte looked like he was finally healthy and finally got after it in the way that he looked like he could his rookie year. Best year for him by far. Awesome to see that bounce back. Rooting for the guy. We'll see what happens there, but I don't want him to play for Dallas for obvious reasons. Carrying right along, let's get to my last guy in this tier, RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey is a guy that I think is interesting. I don't know if I would necessarily say I'm buying him. I would probably be holding if I was, having to pick one side, just given the fact that, we saw what J.K. Dobbins was doing, and J.K. played really, really well. Harvey, to his credit, when he got the opportunity and stepped in, he played well. He got several touchdowns, several games where he was carried by double touchdowns, not a ton of yardage output, but he looked serviceable enough. Finished the season, though, averaging only 3.7 yards per carry. That's not necessarily the best sign there, but we know this Broncos team wants to run the ball and run the ball efficiently, so that's some hope there. He's just a smaller back, 5'8", 205. I know a lot of people are going to point to Bucky because I'm a big Bucky believer, who's a similar size, but I just think Harvey and Bucky are not the same player on the field on tape. They don't look the same at all. Bucky just makes things look a lot easier. RJ Harvey is a serviceable guy, but I don't think he's necessarily a big-time playmaker. What he does have going for him is he's good out of the backfield, 47 catches on the season. Really good base there for him to kind of bolster his stats. And again, if we go look at the box score, he had multiple games with over 5 targets, and you like to see that, multiple games with at least 5 targets. So he's going to be a big-time playmaker in an offense that I think is going to continue to get better around Bo Nix, but they just need to get more consistent. I'm not buying, though. Just hold for now. Let's see what happens with this Broncos team. Let's see what happens with J.K. Dobbins. And let's carry on to our final tier here. And I've got tier 8 through 10. Again, this does not include the rookies. We've got lots of rookies to get into that are certainly going to shake up these rankings and get things going. We've got to close out the playoffs, so keep that in mind. These are not finalized. If you want them, go to the Patreon. Check it out. You can get my rankings. They're going to be updated constantly through the offseason. You'll get them as we go through all the information needed. But looking at tier 8 through 10, we've got Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Kyle Monangai, and Bashal Tutin. Christian McCaffrey is the obvious sell if you don't need him. If you're a losing team, get rid of him while you can. Again, fantastic player, but you just want to shed those points if necessary. If you're a winning team, honestly, I'd probably still hold off on doing anything. Christian McCaffrey, 29 years old, going to be 30 before the start of the next season. If you want to pay a second for him, go for it. If you can get him dirt cheap for like some thirds, just do it. But other than that, I'd probably hold. Looking back, Kenneth Walker was my next running back here. I like Kenneth Walker. He's been a guy that I think shows some promise, but I'd probably look to sell him too, to be quite honest. Not, again, an opportunity where you think you're going to get, all of the carries. They have Charbonnet. Both of those guys are a package deal. They're going to be there together. You can't trust them. You can't play him. He's currently floating around that RB22 spot at the end of the season. Over 1,000 yards, but only 5 touchdowns. They continue to pull him out of the goal line. Only 31 catches. So he's just capped in what he can offer you. He's a risky play. So if you can, shed those points. Go look somewhere else. Maybe look for a pick to see if you can get one of these rookies. I mean, he's only 25. He's really, really explosive, but he's just a high-risk player right now if you have to put him in your lineup. And carrying right along after Kenneth Walker, we have Chase Brown. Chase Brown is another one of those guys that I've talked a lot about in the offseason of what are we going to do with Chase Brown. Solid year for him. I mean, continues to perform, but again, I think that this team is another one that could absolutely take a running back, sign a running back in the draft, whatever it's going to be. Maybe a guy like Breece Hall finishes RB7, RB10 last year, just over 1,000 yards, averaged 4 yards per carry, 69 receptions on 88 targets. So huge volume there. He gets it done, but I just don't think he fits the mold for what they need him to do. I think he's more of a third down back, change of pace back, certainly can be a counterpart. I don't think he can be the bell cow, and I think this team needs to make a change there to kind of bolster this roster a little bit more. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Kyle Monangai, Bashal Tutin, the 3 rookies from this current season, I think showed a bunch of promise. Ja'Cory, multiple-time rookie of the week, multiple-time rookie of the month, lots of opportunity in Washington. They don't really have a guy. He's clearly the most explosive running back. We saw them kind of hesitate to use him to start the season. We know that they traded away Brian Robinson in order to use him. Obviously, I'm a homer, but he was one of my favorite rookies coming into the process. Then gets drafted by Washington. Huge there. Tons of landing room really for him to just take off immediately. And to his credit, he basically did. I mean, if Ja'Cory can be a guy that holds on to his spot and gets better as he goes, he's gonna be fine. I mean, he closed out the year with 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks, averaged over 4.5 yards per carry, had almost just over 800 yards on only 175 attempts. So he's going to get more involved, I think, in this offense. We'll see what happens with the coordinator. I mean, he never had but 3 or 4 games over 50% of the snaps. So not a ton of volume there. Again, like I said, the beginning of the year, they weren't putting him out there. They really were making him earn his role, but he looked like the best back to me, in my opinion. And I think he's a guy that could survive the offseason, but don't hear what I'm not saying. They absolutely still need to decide if they're going to commit to him or go get someone else. I could see them drafting someone if they get the opportunity. I could also see them signing a guy like Breece Hall, or maybe going to get one of these other free agents that might be available, or maybe someone by trade. So that's a valuable piece, in my opinion, because I think this Washington offense is going to get better than what it was. Kyle Monangai, another guy that stepped into a role, kind of surprised some people, looked really, really good at Rutgers this past year. The Bears really wanted that hammer, and guess what? They got it. They got their David Montgomery for Ben Johnson, basically, in Kyle Monangai. Never really a guy that's going to lead the snap percentage, basically floated around 40% throughout the season, but got some opportunities at the goal line, got some touchdowns, really efficient on the ground, averaged over 4.6 yards per carry, almost 800 yards rushing on 169 attempts. So Monangai is a guy that I could go out and get. If something were to happen to Swift, he immediately becomes a lot more relevant. But again, I could see some rookies pushing him down a little bit. Maybe one of these other guys behind him gets a better landing spot if, they get traded or they get signed. So that could certainly change some things. But he's a guy that I'm looking to go get. All 3 of these rookies, Monangai, Bashal Tutin, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I'm buying if I can. I want to see what the price is on them. I want to see, how the community feels about him. I think if you wanted to pay a random second, maybe your team that has 2-3 seconds, you're a rebuilding guy, I'd absolutely fire away one of those seconds at the opportunity to just get a dart throw running back that could turn into something. So go out there, check your managers. Those are going to be my top 24 running backs. Again, if you want to know further, throw something in the comments. I'll let you know. But also you can check out the Patreon where you can get my complete Dynasty rankings for every position, not to mention all sorts of rookie content as we move through this draft season. We're going to have a bunch of rookie mock drafts that we'll be doing with the community. So be sure to check it out. Subscribe to the Face Off Sports Network and join the Discord. It's free. I don't know how else to say it. Join it. It's free. But until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one.